Evening. My name is Janet Tressler Davis, and I'm the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for being here tonight. And all of those that are watching on Facebook Live, thank you for watching with us. We have the pleasure this evening to welcome 5 candidates running for our Board of Education in Westerville. And tonight we have Tatjana Brown, Nafiso Jamale, Anisa Liban, hopefully that's right, Kristy Meyer, and Mark Stevens. The candidates are here tonight to tell us what they're going to do for local businesses, our students, and our community. Thank you to our volunteers tonight. We have several in the room. We have some people from our Chamber Business Advocacy Council, Janice Mitchell and Zach Mitchell. They are both with Precise Resources, and they are also a sponsor tonight. And Brian Reed with Lehman Damon. And we also have some volunteers here from the Parent Teacher Council. They partnered with us, and we have President Ryan Hilperts and board member Tony Baker. And we also have a few students from Otterbein University that are coming to get exposure to a forum like this. And they're in the back if you guys want to wave your hands, but Suadu Jamalo and Rebecca Costa. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions throughout the night and you have it on the card, if you raise it, one of them will come over and pick up those questions for you and get them over to the review table. And a special thanks to my sidekick tonight, Stacy Resterholtz, our communications and community outreach director, who has been helping the whole time getting this all set up for us the last few months. And we share our appreciation for our signature sponsor, who is Status Solutions, supporting sponsor, Minuteman Press and Precise Resources, and our in-kind sponsors, Musicology, Edge Technology, and Market District. You'll see the TV camera in the back, and you see everybody's got these microphones, and they're not just for in the room. They're also because of the Facebook Live, and we couldn't be doing this without Edge Technology and Musicology, so let's give them a round of applause. So thank you so much, guys. And of course, the Facebook Live will be available even after tonight, right away. And we'll also be posting this on our YouTube channel. For sure, it'll be up by Friday afternoon. Hopefully, it'll be up sooner, but we didn't want to, at least if you can go if you Friday, it should be up there. You'll find information about our candidates, both City Council and Board of Education, in the candidate guide. If you didn't pick one up, there's some over here to the table, to the side. And you can also scan the QR code, which are those blue cubes over there, and that will take you to the candidate guide. And we asked candidates to submit some questions. We submitted questions to them and asked them to respond in writing. And it just allows us to get more information about the candidates and more thoughts about what they plan to do in our district, in addition to the questions that we'll be asking tonight. And I'm pleased to welcome our moderator tonight. It's Otterbein President and President of the Coalition for Common Good, and also a member of our Board of Trustees, Dr. John Comerford.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you to all the volunteers and staff of the Chamber that put this together. I have the pleasure of showing up and taking the microphone when I've done none of the real work, and that's really ideal for me. So let's give it up for the Chamber staff that have put together this forum. I also want to start by recognizing our candidates. These are folks that could be out enjoying the beautiful weather, out there, walking around uptown, enjoying a Dora drink or something like that, but instead they're here, and they're here because they want the best for our kids, and they want the best for our schools, and the best for our community. And that is the spirit of this forum, not debate, is everyone up here wants nothing but the best for our community, kids, and schools. So let's thank our candidates for putting themselves forward tonight. So here is how it is going to work tonight. Questions are welcome from the audience and should be submitted in writing. There are chamber representatives that will pick up your cards as we go through the night. Please raise your card if you have a question prepared and written out, hopefully legibly. Questions will be then given to the review team over here, and based on the time we have, we'll get through as many questions as possible. The review team is made up of folks from the Chamber's Business Advisory Council who will review the questions to avoid any duplication, to avoid anything that names an individual candidate, because each candidate will respond to every question, and possibly edit for length and clarity to make sure we can get through as many questions as possible. Each question will be addressed to each candidate, and the candidate will have 1.5 minutes That is 90 seconds, everybody. It's going to go quick, I promise. Although you don't have to use all 90 seconds if you don't want to. It's not like a 5-page paper that has to be 5 pages. You can be shorter if you want to be. 90 seconds. You have a timekeeper. Keep an eye on Zach right there. So 30 seconds remaining is the yellow, and red means time is up. And I do not want to have to rudely interrupt, but I will when time is up. It may be that as a member of the audience, you want to react to something that's been said, positive or negative. We're asking we not do applause or other reactions from the audience. That will maximize the time we can get through and not have the audience interrupting as we're going up here. So, with that, and then at the end, we will have a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate. I'm going to start at the end of the table with Tatjana and then move forward with a different candidate starting each round of questions. And so you'll see a rotation throughout the evening as everyone has a chance to rotate through every question. With that, I have the honor of reading the first question, if we are ready. Tatjana, you ready? Sure. All right. The needs of the workforce are continuing to shift, especially with computer programs and AI. How do you plan to advocate for educating students to be prepared to enter the modern workforce?
So this question is actually a great one to start off with. For myself, as a business owner, I think I'm constantly looking at who is going to be entering into the workforce next and who's going to be moving our community forward in that way. So I think looking from that perspective at the things that we offer kids in our schools, I think we have a really robust career and tech program already, and there's only more that we can add to that. But I think the key there is really early bringing them to that, bring them to those opportunities as early as possible so that they can figure out their pathway. And then basically for us, it's just important to advocate for them no matter which path they choose, but offering those different pathways early on and exploration for career is really important.
Thank you, very good. I'm going to be informal and use first names. Nafiso?
Sure. I'm a businesswoman as well, and I feel like I know that technology is very important, and I know a lot of charter schools, a lot of parents are going to charter schools because they do a career, kind of like technology, career classes before high school, and so that way this kid is able to go and finish, you know, like whatever they, I forgot what it's called, career, I'm sorry. Yeah, so like it gets them ready at an early age, and I know at Westerville, we don't have that a lot. When I went to Westerville schools, I did not have that chance to have that career opportunity to learn in school. So having that opportunity early on will help the kids even explore what kind of like degrees, what kind of colleges they want to be involved.
Thank you. Anisa?
Hi everyone, thank you so much. I also agree that is a really important question. Listen, I will say this, thank you so much. I'm gonna speak a little bit louder. I'm a mom to a child that's not even school age yet, and I really am always thinking about the future of this district. I had the opportunity to attend an education convention a few months ago, and it was one of the first events that I participated in, and I had a chance to stop by a booth for School AI and a few other groups. And I think what I noticed that was very consistent is everyone is thinking about integrating up-to-date technologies. So to answer this question as a board member currently, as someone who's running to keep my seat, first and foremost, I want to make sure that the district is staying up to date with the modern day technology. I want to make sure that the parents and the students themselves also know how to utilize these important tools, because once they leave the building, if they are really, if they know how to use technology in the buildings, there's no guarantee that they know how to do that at home. So making sure that we're actually giving the children the tools that they need to succeed when they're in school and when they leave the building, for me, that also includes making sure that we are investing dollars into that technology. So I would say AI can be really, really great when used well and creatively. I'm here to think outside of the box, think creatively, and make sure that we are partnering with as many folks as possible to give our kids the best access to technology as much as possible. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Kristy?
So I'm big on not having brain drain in our community, and I know you just saw that I told the students that they should stay here, right? And I know that we have a really great business advisory council, work-wise. We have some communities that are already working together. We have the Westerville Partnership, and to me, I think it's really important that we're bringing those businesses in and really learning and working as a district with those businesses to understand the workforce needs, and then collectively thinking creatively and putting forward some career pathways. I will say we had to pause on one of our career pathways because of our failed levy, which was computer IT. So it'll be really important that we have the additional funding to be able to meet those needs.
Thank you. Mark?
As a teacher and a son who is making a living in computer science, it is all about math. Math, 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 math. All of it. And that is what we should be teaching a lot in our schools. Math, and just be completely immersed in it. What was interesting is that he took AP Calculus. But the university, every university, Miami, OSU, you name it, they all said, that's great you did that, but we're going to teach it to you again because we want to teach it to you our way. But everything is math, and he has now just been appointed head of AI for his company up in Canton, because that is the future. That is coming. It is here. It's not even the future, if you want to clarify. So it's math skills, because that is your computer, that is your computer software, that is your computer engineering. Math is everything. Math is the universe. So that's basically all I have to say. We need to just emphasize math, 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 because that's what it takes for all of our technology, and to be complete. I mean, we're immersed in it from birth to death now. Everything is technology. In the classroom, we use the smart board and stuff like that. It was great because boom, 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 YouTube. I could do a symphony orchestra, and boom, we could listen to the music right there in real time. Streaming, all that stuff. We are immersed in it right now. But as far as teaching in our schools and curriculum, math.
Thank you all very much. One question down. See, pretty painless. We're doing great. Thank you, everybody. We're going to start with Nafiso this time. And the question is, if elected, in 4 years, how will we know if you've been successful during your term?
If I'm elected, in 4 years, there will be collaboration, more transparency, communication with stakeholders. A lot of times, I'll go back to the levy last year, it fell because there wasn't a clear communication and transparency. We're here for the student, but we're also forgetting the elders who their kids are not going to school. How do we communicate? How do we negotiate? And as a businesswoman and a social worker, I do collaborate with different agencies and different partners. So you will see everybody involved in the meetings, not only one race or one, gender. You will have a diversity come into the meetings, so that way their voices can be heard. So I will see more people come into the board meeting and collaborating in communication.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anisa?
Thank you so much for this question. Listen, I'll say this, and I'm going to be very transparent. It's a question that really keeps me up at night is what makes a really good board member. I didn't wake up one day and decide to run for school board. It really was something that I felt I had a calling for. And 4 things that I'm really running for right now, some of my priorities include creating a safe, fair, supportive schools where all of our kids can thrive. It is building transparency and real engagement with parents and educators in the community. It is equipping parents with the tools that they need, connecting these families with resources. And lastly, it's driving pre-K through 12 success through evidence-based practices. So to answer the question, in a few years, when I look back at what made my time on the school board a success, it's making sure that I've met those personal goals. It's also continuing what I've been doing, which is genuinely being engaged on the ground. It is being an advocate at the State House and at all levels in this community. That is so, so important. It is making sure that those families that see themselves in me know that they can give me a call. They can email my office. But it also looks like supporting the incredible work of our superintendent and our treasurer and really collaborating with my colleagues, because not a single thing that I do is on my own. I can't make unilateral decisions on my own, so it's really collaborating with my colleagues and also the external partnerships in our amazing district. So just making sure that I am meeting those personal goals and those professional goals is incredibly important. I think that's what would define my success on the school board. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Kristy?
Yeah, I think in 4 years looking back, I would like to say that we were able to keep our programming, that we didn't have to gut our programming like we did in 2011, 2012 because of a failed levy. That took many years to rebound. I'd like to say that we'd see less brain drain in our community, that our students would graduate and they would find career pathways here, or maybe go to Otterbein, stay here, or even go away and come back because they want to raise their family here. We'll see students talking about their deep roots and their wings, which we heard about last night from some of the students, and the opportunities that they had. We'll continue to grow our career pathways. And we'll really, the thing that I really am excited to see, and I ran on in 2021, is social emotional programming. And we're now moving that down into our elementary school and coupling that with multi-tiered systems of support, which I know is a buzzword, but additional supports, seeing what really, what kind of life skills we can teach our children, not just academic skills, but life skills, what we call soft skills, I call essential skills. And also, I think that will really help some of our behavioral issues as well. Our children will be more resilient, they'll feel more confident. And so there's a lot of, when I look back, I just really want to see a lot more opportunities for our children.
Thank you very much.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. If elected, 4 years from now, what would be the indicator that your term has been a success?
Okay. Just going by my own experience as a music teacher, for us that teach instrumental music and choir, nobody has to take our class. Nobody has to take it. It's not even required or anything like that. And so my class, I recruit students, and everybody's welcome into my class. And so what we do, and then I teach them a skill. I teach them how to read music. I teach them how to play music. And it's the same thing with running a school as a board member, because all of those students want to come to my class. They like my class. And also the parents and the communications, and we get together for concerts. We get together for concerts all the time, and we communicate. And the big thing that I just want to see is obviously the whole community. Schools are a community. The public school is the biggest part of our community. And we need to make sure, I view it exactly the same thing as my class. You are welcome to my class. I will teach you. Come on in. And this is what I do as a teacher. I'm a teacher. And that's what I do. So it's the same thing. I don't have all these words or anything like that, but welcome, come on in, and let's learn, and we'll do our thing and have great concerts and do that. So it's pretty simple for me. It's not complicated.
Thank you very much. Tatjana?
So for myself, I think after 4 years, if I'm able to look back and just being in the state that we're in currently with our budget and our public schools, I think that if we can look back in 4 years and I'm able to partake in helping protect resources for our kids, protect the programs that mean so much to them, as Mark mentioned, some of the extracurriculars, the arts, making sure that all those things stay protected, making sure that our teachers stay happy and we're retaining the talent that we have here. I've talked to so many teachers in the district who truly love being in Westerville. And so I think that's so important that we, after 4 years, that they're still here and that they still love teaching here. And then a priority for myself is making sure that we're able to protect and expand mental health services for our kids, because that is just a top priority of mine. And I think after 4 years, I have 3 kids in 3 different areas of their education, elementary, middle, and high school. And so if I'm able to speak to families and other kids in the district at all 3 of those levels, and they are having a optimal experience, then that will mean that things have gone well. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you all very much. We'll start with Anisa on this next question. And that is, what are your thoughts about the long-range plans for our district, both academically and fiscally?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say this. I've been on the board now for a year. This month marked a year on the board. And I am coming in at a time where the last time we passed a levy was in 2011, or about 6 years since we passed a levy. And so I'm coming in at a time where the state and at the federal level, at literally every angle you can imagine, are we are under a financial distress right now. And so what I will say is that as a district as a whole, I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to, time and time again, demonstrate that we are fiscally responsible, that we are a fiscally responsible district, and that we are working towards getting feedback from residents. I'm very proud of the district's goal overall. In a few months, we'll be able to review a few new priorities from our superintendents. But I'll say that I'm proud of the educational framework that Westerville has to offer. One of those, we have about 3 core elements, one of them being literacy as well. And so I'm always looking for opportunities for growth and for improvements. But some of the ways that I identify what those gaps are is by staying engaged with our educators on the ground. And so at this time, we need more financial resources to ensure that we're able to meet those district goals. And I think we're doing whatever we can and the best that we can with the little resources that we have. And so I will say that I am truly proud of what we're doing, but that's not to say that there's not always opportunities for growth and for improvement. As a school board member, my job is to strengthen the work that's being done on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristy?
Well, I think, as my colleague Anisa said, we're in very turbulent times, right? We have state that wants to dismantle public education. We don't know if the U.S. Department of Education is going to exist anymore, if we'll get funding. I think that we're being very prudent in how we're approaching trying to be stable in our funding in terms of asking the voters for an earned income tax, and trying to make sure that we're able to preserve our extracurriculars, our wonderful programs that we hear so much about from our students. I also think we're, we are constantly reviewing and assessing what is working and what isn't. How are we removing barriers? How are we meeting students' needs? And I think there's some things that we're being very intentional about right now that we're putting into place. And I talked about it, and I know, again, this is a buzzword, but multi-tiered systems of support and thinking about how are we actually meeting children where they're at. Do we need to move into some, in-class instruction or move in additional support to help our job of being equitable about our financial resources while working with our amazing staff and educators and being innovative to be able to remove those barriers? Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Obviously, I chose Westerville. I interviewed for this district 3 times before I finally got in. And so, we raised our family here. In the future of it, financially, it is very unpredictable. It is completely unpredictable, especially now if there's the opportunity for voters to decide if we're going to eliminate property tax. So the one thing everybody needs to understand about the things with schools and in our future is that the state legislature determines everything about the school district. They determine how we do our finances, what levies or income taxes we can vote on, our curriculum, everything is top down. And the teachers, we do not have that much of a say really into it. Sure, there's some collaboration into it, but the people that are making the decisions for our districts aren't in the classroom. The people in the classroom are not making decisions. But the financial thing, it's going to be a rocky road. But on the positive side, I like Keith Bell, a former principal that we had. I think a motto we should take to students, and it was very effective for raising test scores and student achievement, was we told the students, we will not let you fail. And I think we should do that district-wide, and I thought that was excellent. Scores went up immediately. I
Thank
timed
you.
that perfectly.
Very nice. Tatjana, back down to you.
So can you repeat the question one more time?
Of course.
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on the long-range plans for the school district, both academically and fiscally?
So I think long range, I hope that we are able to get into a position where fiscally we're able to continue to support the great programs that we already offer our kids and continue to expand them. And I hope that we're able to, take some time to be creative and maybe form some partnerships within our community, within our business community that can help also to support our schools. And I think academically, there's always opportunity to work towards better outcomes with early intervention and literacy. I think we already are in a good spot, but there's always room for improvement. And I hope that we're able to continue to work to expand some of the opportunities for kids to, I guess I would say, like school culture-wise, to ensure that they are feeling supported, they're feeling seen. Again, I think the more that we can do to make sure that our kids feel those things and that they feel a sense of belonging in our schools, we are doing a good job then, because unless they feel that sense of belonging and hope, they will not be able to achieve academically as well as they could if they feel fully supported.
Thank you. Nafiso?
I will say that the first 10 years is like we talk about how the levy can help with some of the equipment, some of the old buildings. I went to Westerville Middle School, and me and Mark talked, and he was there working. So like building, like, updating the equipment, making sure that we have resources available for kids, resources for the family, make sure the schools are safe, because safety is like number one. I don't know, like a lot of people, if they're like really into statistic, I will say that 25% of resident of Westerville or parents of Westerville student are actual staff. So that means like, the safety, the mental health, it's important. I will probably look into like getting more mental health services into the schools, not only for the student, but also the staff. A long-term financial stability is like number one. If we have that financial support or financial budget, we can provide more resources for our communities, to our kids, to our staff. So yeah, I never run out of time.
That's great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Moving on to our next question. As you all know, the school district is rated in a series of components: the achievement component, graduation component, early literacy component, progress component, gap closing component, and college, career, workforce, and military readiness. I'm wondering which of those components you think our school district should focus more time on improving. Kristy, we'll start with you.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember what you just read.
I'll read it for all of you. I'll read them one more time. That's not a problem. The achievement component, graduation component, early literacy component, progress component, gap closing component, and college, career, workforce, and military readiness.
Oh, wow. Just one? Okay.
It's your 90 seconds.
Okay, well, so I would probably say early literacy and graduation rates. Early literacy is really important. If students don't know how to read, then they're not able to really participate and learn. And we are, we always have room to grow, I will say this, but we are a big district. We're the 11th largest district in the state. And when we look at all of our makeup, our demographics, we have 44% of, disadvantaged pupils. We have 16% special education. I think 11% English learners, and something like 23% gifted. And so meeting all of those needs is really it can blow your mind, making sure that you're able to equitably meet all of their needs. But we have to be able to remove those barriers for children so that they're able to be able to, make sure that they're able to read and participate in math and social studies, and all of those are very important things. I think our score has gotten better in graduation, and using those two benchmarks, I think will help us, keep track of how we're doing. But I want to remind people that the report card is just a snapshot. It is one piece of the puzzle, and it doesn't tell the whole story.
Thank you. Mark?
All of them. In my class, in my orchestra class, every student, I teach the back row. I teach every student. I listen to every student play. Every student's accountable. I'm accountable to every student as a teacher. We teach every kid. I teach all of them. And if somebody's having trouble, I am available to them after school. I call parents up. Hey, I need to work with your kid. Is that okay? Yeah, sure, that's great. They love you. They love it. And the last concert was really good. But all of them, why not? We are a public school. Public school board. Our mission is to teach everybody without exception. And that is what us teachers do. We love our students. Every one of them. And if there's a student that we can't teach, or they're having some issues, something like that, we need the resources to help these kids out. But we teach everybody. We teach everybody. All of it. It's that simple. I don't need the 30 seconds.
Thank you. Tatjana?
So in terms of just our overall scores and the state report card, we actually meet or exceed most all of these metrics with a little bit, we meet the standard for literacy. So I think that would be the one that I would say, you know, focusing on early learning and early literacy is so important because that is the building blocks for all the rest of a kid's education. But again, I think as Kristy said, I agree with her comment about this is just a snapshot. And I think last night I went to partake in the meeting for the Yes for Westerville kickoff, and hearing all of the students speak there about what their experience in Westerville has brought to them, it goes so much further beyond any of these metrics that it was so empowering to see what this experience has given to them. So I think, yes, my answer is literacy, but all of those things are such a component together.
Very good. Thank you. Nafiso?
I will say, as a social worker, early diagnostic and early intervention is very important. And I will go with the early literacy. Like, if we don't know what the kid know, or if we're not really catching that an early set, there's no way that that kid will graduate. And we know that if we don't get that, and the kid doesn't graduate, our school levels go down, because that shows that our graduation rates are really down. So I will say that I will add a comment, like a lot of times, because it's that the teachers have so many kids, 30, 28 kids, and they do not have that one-on-one to really find out who is really struggling or who is gifted. So some kids are really left out if they're not really talking. So I will say that I will advocate for, less kids and more support. Oh, yeah, I got the yellow. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Anisa?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this question. I think all of these are equally important. Honestly, it's really hard to choose. How do you pick between graduation, literacy, and everything in between? I will say literacy primarily because this is an issue across the state. But I'll say that we are currently meeting, we are currently aligned with the state standards and the third grade reading guarantee. And we're doing the best that we can as a district. There are so many students with different lived experiences and backgrounds and all sorts of needs, and we're doing our best to meet them where they're at. But we're doing that in various different ways. I'll say that I'm really proud of our partnership, for example, with the United Way and their Success by Third Grade initiative, which, time and time again, they'll let us know that if a kid's not able to read by third grade, they're less likely to graduate. And so literacy is at the core of all of the work that we're doing. I think that we are competing with our other districts in the region, if not exceeding what they are doing. And so I would say literacy and really making sure that we are also catching up to speed our students that speak multiple languages as well, ensuring that we are supporting our educators that are in the classroom who are doing the best that they also can do, and of course going back to supporting the parents as well. So I have a lot of different ideas on how we can strengthen or help ourselves meet those needs in that goal, but I think literacy is at the top of mind for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to our next question, and that is, if the November ballot issue, the earned income tax to support the school district, does not pass, what are 2 cuts in the district you believe should be made to help reduce district expenses? And Mark, you get this one first.
Great. The music teacher. Well, definitely not music. Boy, that's That is very hard for me to answer because in the 2011-12 levy failure, I was riffed. So my answer isn't going to be, it's hard for me to answer that. But for me as a teacher and a father, I have to look at the academics, I have to look at things. We just have to look and choose things that I know I'm not giving a direct answer, and that's fine, bear with me, because, I mean, that's my experience, and I understand that. However, I will say what I would like to see, because people don't realize of this mandates from the state that's required from us. I would like to see a list, just the high school, of all the classes that are not required, all the classes that are I mean, just the basic classes, and you would be amazed of all the classes, all the AP, all the IB honors classes. They are not required. Not one of them are. So I would like to see everything, just the high school, because the high school is where determines career and stuff like that, your GPA and everything like that. So as far as cuts, I mean,
We need to move on, Mark.
That's all right.
Thank you. Tatjana, down to you.
It's a really difficult question. I think most importantly, I think everything that we can do as a district to protect the services that we offer our kids is going to have to be the lens that we're going to have to use to look at what gets cut, because that's ultimately what we're here to provide. I guess, thinking about, long-term projects perhaps, or, maybe some building, I don't want to say updates, because obviously we need to focus on ensuring that our buildings are keeping kids safe and keeping learning, keeping them, excuse me, able to be conducive to learning. But if there are long-term projects in that realm, those cuts may have to happen first, or, things of that nature. I hate to say, I hate to see any programs be cut. So I feel like we have to do our best to protect those things and maybe get creative about how we look at some of the other expenditures first.
Thank you. Nafiso?
It is really a hard question for, I'm sure, for a lot of us. So it's like, who do you choose, right? What program do you choose? Because we know every program that is there for and created is for the student. So I probably will do like a survey with different schools. I won't focus on middle or high elementary. I will probably ask them like a survey, what do they really not utilize? What resources do, have a low participation? What classes have fewer students, attending? And then once I get the survey with the board members, we'll look at it and see how to kind of go from there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anisa?
I hate this question, honestly. My stomach just dropped. I feel like I just hate that we're even in this situation, honestly, because as a community, as a Westerville community, we've done our end as a district through previous levies to, make sure that we are investing in our schools, and I'm just really devastated, and I just hate that we couldn't get the support elsewhere. I think regardless if you're for the levy or against it, our kids should be top priority. But to answer your question, I'll talk a little bit about what we've done as a district. If you've been following along this year, you know that we've made about $9 million, and correct me if I'm wrong, in cuts through attrition. We did a lot to make sure that those decisions were the best for our kids. But going into what I cut, I mean, they're all important things. But education is the most important thing to me. So if we have to cut additional programming or review contracts, maybe look at extracurricular activities, programs that aren't directly impacting the child in the classroom, and their ability to get quality education, that's what I would think about. Example, possibly sports, or maybe increasing pay to participate, just getting creative. I do not want to see important services cut, but if we are in that position, we will have to do what we need to do as leaders. But I just urge those tuning in to make sure that you are doing your research about this levy, because we shouldn't be in this situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristy.
So this question has kept me up so many nights, right? Like, we did make some severe deep cuts, and I've had some really tough nights. We did make some, as I said, deep cuts, and my colleague did too. We consumed staff positions, and those weren't staff positions that were created just for the fun of it. They were absolutely needed, and we spread that out over other staff. We tried really hard not to impact the student's experience, and I think we've done a good job. But thinking about this next ballot measure, I think I can't answer this question really without knowing what is mandated by the states and the federal government, and then looking at the data and really understanding what programs are maybe really attended and sought after and what programs are not. And then taking a look at the whole big picture and seeing what is it that we can cut that can meet our whole. I agree that, I hate saying this, extracurriculars is really important. And I say it with my own son in mind and my daughter. These are the two things that they went to school for. Sorry, this really does bother me. So thinking about that, that's where some of those kids really thrive. And so it would be super hard, but I think that is an area that we'd really have to look at. And so I'm sorry. It's just something that has caused me a lot of tears.
Thank you very much. Next question is, what have you done in your career or professional life to demonstrate your commitment to promoting values of compassion, tolerance, and treating others with dignity and respect? And Tatjana, we'll start with you on that one.
I'm a business owner here in Westerville. I've had a business in Uptown for about 18 years. And I think ultimately that has been the ethos of my business. We opened with community in mind, wanting to be sort of a community hub, and that has really just grown and changed for me in so many ways. Being able to support our community through fundraising efforts, through just different ways to connect has been really just the ultimate goal. It's become what I've modeled my whole business around. So I just, this felt like a really natural extension to move on to doing something like this, because I love Westerville so much and I see so much potential in our kids and in our community as a whole. I've always kept a very open policy to hiring people, to making sure that everybody's represented, that people have flexibility, that they can be with their children, that they can, do all the things that they want to do. So I hope that I hope that resonates with people in the community, and that I'm able to bring that to the school board.
Thank you. Nafiso?
Can you repeat that question?
Of course. I put it up here. What have you done in your career or professional life to demonstrate your commitment to promoting values of compassion, tolerance, and treating others with dignity and respect?
Okay. So I am a social worker, and I do work in a community base that serves children. I think a lot of you guys might know or already donate to Buckeye Ranch is where I work at. So as my work, I already collaborate with schools. We provide counseling and stuff like that. So I am the product of being, treating everybody with respect and listening and being empathetic, because I'm a social worker, but also I'm a PTA board member for my kids' school. I did not sign up. They just chose me to be on it because I was the parent that was always volunteering. And when we have a picnic, if there's a kid, their parents coming late, I'm the one that's like, let's share the food. So just showing that compassion and being there for the kids, I became the PTA board member, vice president at my school. And for that reason, I want to do more, and this is why I, want to run for school board. So.
Thank you. Very good. Anisa?
Thank you so much for this question. I'm proud to say that I bring a very unique lived experience and professional experience to the table I went to school for public affairs. Currently, I do a lot of great work in the nonprofit space. I serve on a board for Our Helpers, a local nonprofit that supports immigrants and refugees. But really beyond that, I'll speak to some of what I've done up until now that demonstrates what I believe commitment to kindness, but also tolerance. I think that whether it is supporting the YWCA or the Columbus Foundation or various grassroots organizations on the ground that are helping families and children, I am usually at the forefront of that work or behind the scenes, and I'm really proud of that. I will say that I've had the opportunity to support Columbus City Council and state lawmakers at the State House, and so I am really I'm a policy junkie, but when I serve on the school board, I'm always thinking about how can I help improve policy that is shaping the children's lives, but also in the building, what culture and what environment are we cultivating in these buildings, and we're already doing a great job. The school spirits, when you walk into the buildings, demonstrates that, but I think I am someone that's really big on just being kind. I mean, I am a person of color, I'm a visibly Black Muslim woman, and I'm proud of that identity, and I really try to remind others in this community that that's what makes Westerville beautiful, that's what makes us great and so different, is our ability to immerse ourselves in different cultures, and that's what I'm proud of.
Thank you very much. Kristy?
So in my professional life, about 25 years now, I have worked to advance policies that really center the community. And for instance, right now I'm working on a water affordability piece of legislation. There are millions of people that cannot afford their drinking water, and some of them may be sitting right here with us today, right? And so thinking about really listening to community members and what they're experiencing, understanding, so listening to understand and bringing the appropriate resources, using my network to bring appropriate resources to the table and to advance pieces of legislation that will provide things like a water affordability program where it's based on monthly household income, debt forgiveness, and protections against shutoffs. Because people lose their children, they lose their families when they when they don't have water in their homes. So that's just a snapshot of things that I've done in my professional life, right? I mean, I've worked with countless number of grassroots organizations to protect their water resources in their community from pollution and so forth. But in my own life, my daughter has a knack for finding kids that really are struggling, and she brings them home, and they stay with us for days. Sometimes I've bought them shoes, we've bought them heaters, socks, gloves, and it's multiple kids coming into our house.
Thank you. Mark?
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
Of course. What have you done in your career or professional life to demonstrate your commitment to promoting values of compassion, tolerance, and treating others with dignity and respect?
Okay, thank you. I am a music teacher. And in what we do in my class, no matter who or what you are, we play music together. And I know it's a buzzword now, but music is belonging. It's really interesting of my colleagues and I when we get to discuss things. And there are so many kids that need our class, need more orchestra and band and choir, more than band and orchestra choir needs them. And because sometimes some of our kids from the land of misfit toys, but we're there for those kids. We give those kids a place to be and a place to be successful. For instance, 2 years ago, first time ever in the history of our school district, a full orchestra. That's band and orchestra together for orchestra contests. We get a superior rating. So we get all these kids together, and they accomplish something. And that's what I do as a teacher. And that's what I did as a teacher, and still do, because I come in and volunteer. I've helped out at Heritage still, at my wife's school today, and all that stuff. So it's just what I do. I mean, everybody participates in it, and everybody's successful at it, and everybody loves it. And that's what goes on in our classroom for us teachers.
Thank you very much. All right, our next question, and we'll start with Nafiso on this one, is how would you respond to pressure or legislation from the Ohio State House to ban books from our libraries or proscribe what can be not included in history classes?
That's a good question. If it's in a state level, I will probably talk with my colleagues to figure out and put like a team together to advocate and see what kind of books. And I think it just recently happened about the budget cut, where Westerville, the board called the community, and a lot of people went to the state house to kind of advocate for that. So I will do the same thing, have go to different community and kind of like educate them, because some people are not really coming to the meetings. So maybe meeting families in communities where they're at, or maybe attending curriculum nights to kind of educate how certain books that or certain history that is being taken away from the books is important, and kind of hear what the parents are saying in the community, and see if you can create a coalition of team that can go out and advocate.
Thank you very much. Anisa?
Okay.
Thank you so much for this question. I'll say, on a personal level, my sister is on track of becoming a librarian. She's currently earning her master's at Kent State, so I'm really proud of that. I hate book bans, boo to book bans. But to answer this question, I think what I'll say is that at the state level, we already know that a majority of Ohioans hate what's happening at the State House, right? Again, I think regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, we know Ohioans reject their efforts to ban diversity, ban book bans, and everything in between because of the amount of testimonies that were submitted in opposition, right? But as someone who serves proudly on the school board that serves to support students in a district that is so diverse, I think that it is honestly unnecessary. It is really taking away from resources. So I would say to lawmakers to really spend time on issues that we discussed earlier, like supporting literacy efforts. But what I would do is also make sure that I am empowering and equipping our families to reach out to those state lawmakers as well. And doing what I can do as a school board member to ensure that we are keeping really safe and inclusive environments in our buildings, and that we're supporting our staff that are librarians and media specialists, because this is really important work, and it really goes back into everything. If you're not reading, if you don't have a love for reading, if you don't have a love for technology and everything that we're seeing in the schools right now, our kids aren't going to thrive. And so I say book bans, I will never support that ever. I will work hard against it.
Thank you very much. Kristy?
I am also against book bans, so I would make it very uncomfortable for our legislature. And what I would do is probably do what I normally do, is draft up a campaign plan and think about how we're going to educate our community, think about how we're going to educate our staff and our teachers, and I would look at what other districts we really need to sway and arm our community with not only our legislators, numbers and emails, but also those particular ones that we need to sway. I would start calling, and which I did during the biennium budget, start looking at those key districts and calling other board members, other districts, and asking them what they're doing to educate their community. Is there something that I can do to be helpful to them and arm them with the resources necessary? I would ask people to go down to the State House and share their experience if they're able to do that and feel comfortable doing that. I would go with them. I would go with any students, and I did this during the biennium budget with a class that went down to the State House and talked about how, you know, the cuts would really impact us. So I would go down myself and testify and educate our legislators and consistently be in talks, like I was during the biennium budget, with other board districts, other boards around this state.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Yeah, this is a controversial topic, and book bannings have been part of the human experience ever since anybody could write. It depends on the culture and the society and everything that bans. Obviously, we want material that's appropriate, that's age appropriate for what we do in classes. I mean, there are books that aren't in school anymore, like anything by Mark Twain. There are things that have been banned for a long time. Some of our classic literature has been banned. So, I mean, it is a debate that will never, ever go away. I mean, that's just plain that. I'm not copping out, but it's just a fact. But however, with book bans, whether you're for or against this, I do believe that parents do have a right to know exactly what is being read and taught in the schools. I think that's definitely a part of that. But as far as book banning, it's going to be what the legislature does. It's going to be determined by our society, and it's going to be determined by our voters. So that's just, I mean, it's Realville. That's all it is. It's just the reality of it. You can go through every culture. Books have always been banned, and it's not going to stop. It will continue to happen. So we just have to wait and see for advocacy and all that stuff for what's going to happen for that. And if for us teachers, let's just.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Tatjana?
I think it's a complete disservice to our kids to not offer a full scope experience when you're talking about history and civics, and banning books that are not that someone might not deem appropriate for them. I think it's taking away from their experience. It's taking away from all of these things. Build empathy in our kids. That's what helps them become informed and compassionate adults. And so I would advocate absolutely to the state level against that. And I think when we talk about advocacy at the state level, I think it can be very overwhelming to groups of parents, to people when they're hearing that, and it feels very outside of your reach. It feels very outside of what we can do. So I think looking at stuff like that, we have to really do our best to educate, to break everything down in really understandable terms. Hey, here's who you email, here's who you call. We go at it together, because I think as a community we can really rally, and then your voice is really heard at that level. But I would absolutely advocate against book bans or any type of removal of full scope history or civics in our classrooms.
Thank you all very much. Our next question will start with Anisa, and it is, there's been some discussion of STEM education here tonight, but very little discussion of the arts. For reference, I remember learning at 4 years old basic counting in music class when they taught us to read score. While protecting hard STEM courses, how can we also protect and promote the quote-unquote soft skills in the arts, languages, and social sciences?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll say this, as someone who benefited from the International Baccalaureate program. I too took IB when I was in high school. I really loved that. I did an IB art class. It was my very first time in high school, really challenging myself to have a choice to select an elective like that, and I did so. And that really, I think, shaped my mind as a young person, and I really credit that to the person that I am today. I would say I think it is continuing the partnerships that we have right now at a city level. We are partnering with our libraries and other entities in the community, but it also looks like really empowering the kids, empowering the kids to demonstrate their love for art, their amazing work that they put together. I think in the actual buildings, it really boils back to investment. If we can't invest in these services and these programs, we're not going to sustain and maintain them. I will say on that note as well, this levy is really, really important to answering this question. It's really difficult for me to answer this because I don't even know what the future of art is in our district. So we really need to make sure that we are being mindful of our financial ability to maintain those programs and services for our kids, because a kid can take a class 1 year, but I promise you it'll follow them for the rest of their lives. And so it's something worth investing for me. I love what we're offering right now.
Thank you very much. Kristy?
I've watched in my own experience too, right? My daughter's very artistic, and my stick figures are scared of their stick figures, as I tell my daughter, but I've watched art really unlock kids, and I think it's really essential piece of learning and growing, creativity, because you need to be able to be creative in so many various ways. And so I think there are some really great things that we're doing, just even in the past year, and trying to reach down and recruit kids from middle schools into, band at the high school, and really working with students to educate their own peers on the importance of arts. Yes, it's, I'm going to put aside, everything is hinged on the fact that We may or may not pass a ballot measure. It's super important, right, in November. But arts is essential. It has an opportunity to heal students, too. There's a real healing opportunity when kids are able to express themselves. And in many times, those kids that we feel may be lost or they're misfit, that's where they really find their people and their purpose in school. So I think continuing to, work with the art teachers and the music teachers and the students to continue to tell that story of the richness of the arts in our school district.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Art documents our culture. Art is world history. Art is everything. I've taken classes on art in India and Pakistan and all that stuff. And art it shows in all the carvings and the architecture. It's the history. It's the religion. It shows. It documents everything that we do. I know this is controversial. Adolf Hitler did one thing right. Are you ready for this? He forbade the Berlin Philharmonic musicians from participating in the war because he wanted to make sure that the culture remained. That is the only thing he did right. Everything else, he's just batshit crazy and evil. So sorry for saying that. But it's history. It's actual history. You could go on to the Berlin Philharmonic website, and they'll show the stream of it and show that. But the art is so important because it's a reflection, whether it's Taylor Swift or a band class. It's our culture. It's everything about us. It's a documentation to everything that we do. It's everything. You turn on the radio, our architecture, everything. Flowers, that's art right there, the picture of it. Everything, our clothes, everything. Makeup, everything. Our glasses, it's art. Everything in here is art, without exception.
Thank you. Tatjana?
So I think just as equally as important as our STEM pathways are for kids who want to go that route, I think the arts are equally as important. I have three very different children. They couldn't be more different personality-wise. I have one that is very interested in more of a STEM pathway. I have two kids that are super creative, more driven by music and art. So, by offering all of these things and protecting those programs, you're saying that you're standing behind all of these different learners. There's so many different kids and personalities in our schools, and so offering something for all of them is so important. And I think, things like music helps them learn collaboration. It helps them gain confidence. So all of these things are extremely vital to protect just as much as our STEM pathways as well.
Thank you. Nafiso?
I'll say STEM is very critical, just as art. I do have, my daughter is on the spectrum. She's not diagnosed, but she's a hyperactive, and she likes drawing and playing with art and, doing all that stuff. So like Mark said, art is everything. And I will say that we can have both. We can collaborate. We don't have to have one thing. We can have both because we have so many students in, so many different, personalities. Also, we know art. It's a therapy. Therapists, they do art therapy, and it makes people feel better. So, collaborating, I think, and getting grants to make sure that we give the, kids with STEM and kids with, that likes art, both things that they can both, feel right to be having in their classroom. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much. The next question will start with Kristy, and that is, currently parents with kindergarten-age children must pay $300 a month in tuition for full-day kindergarten. What is your view of using tax dollars to pay for universal full-day kindergarten?
Well, we would have, so if I'm remembering correctly, full-day kindergarten would cost about $2 million, over $2 million to do that to the district. It would be great to offer full-day kindergarten for everybody because, it shouldn't be that those that aren't able to afford full-day kindergarten, may want to take it and aren't able to do so because of the financial constraint. I would love to visit this and see if that's something that we can do once we pass this ballot measure. But that is really something that would be really wonderful to have, and I'm not sure that we're just right now trying to preserve the programming that we do have. You know, we know that there is a lot of research out there that shows that full-day kindergarten can be really important and can help students really excel, and that would be nice, again, to bring here. But I think for me, it would be really important to be able to know that we pass this ballot measure and take a look at all of the other needs that we have and the programs that we want to protect, and what kind of services we need to meet our English learners, our special education students, our gifted students, and then see if this is something that we can do. Because there are some other pieces that I know that we've pushed pause on that are really important as well. And they cost a couple $1 million too.
All right, thank you very much. Mark?
I'll admit, I do not know much about it, so I would have to do some research on it, a lot of research. However, this is part of the unfunded mandates. If it's imposed upon us by the state to do that, then obviously we expect the state to do it. But I mean, it's all intertwined with these with funding if we can do it. And I mean, there are other things that schools. I know the schools we pay fees for. I know the athletics, the music. The kids have to buy a uniform. I mean, there's all sorts of fees that we have to do in order to have things also. But I think this goes down to just basic funding and money. And otherwise, I don't know much about it, and I would rely on colleagues and to help with investigate and talk and investigate it. So I'm sorry I don't have a great answer for you on it. So
Thank you very much. Tatjana?
I think that the possibility in the future to offer full-day kindergarten would be amazing. Doesn't sound like financially we are in that place currently, but I think that would be a huge opportunity to remove barriers for some parents, to open up our enrollment to more kids at an earlier time, or maybe we could get a leg up on some early intervention with literacy. Maybe we can, just offer that opportunity to more kids who whose families are struggling in that, I think we've all been there in that in between preschool and kindergarten, and what are we doing with each kid. Some preschools offer programs that will extend into a 5-year program. My kids did that sort of option, but not everyone has those options. So how can we remove some of these barriers? That would be a huge barrier to remove to get to service more kids, but obviously there's a financial piece to that. So maybe that is something that we can look towards the future for.
Thank you very much. Nafiso?
I do have a school that's going this year, but also I did had both my daughters in kindergarten, and we all know that giving the student a full day at 5, it's really good, beneficial for them, because they learn how school day goes. And I might be biased, but I will say if I get elected, I will probably negotiate and see, yes, we cannot make it 0, but how can we increase the income, bracket, so that way a mom with twins in a salary of $60,000 is not able to pay, both kids. So maybe looking at kind of moving the numbers a little bit to kind of help out, parents that's struggling, but also to make sure that we do have our kids in school, and those are the earliest, important times. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anisa?
Thank you so much for this question. As a mom that lives in the district right now with a child that will be in kindergarten in a few years, this question is really important to me on a personal level. I absolutely support universal kindergarten. I know that many folks at the city and at the state level, there are many elected officials who are supportive of this concept, but I can only speak to what we're able to do right now, and right now my focus honestly is just maintaining what we currently offer. We do have families that pay out of pocket for preschool and we offer full and half-day kindergarten, and so for me, it's making sure that we can at least maintain what we're offering right now, trying to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly can be, and just continue to do the research, really looking at what other districts are doing. I know we can't compare ourselves to other districts for a number of reasons, but I'm really big on borrowing ideas and having these conversations, because when we put our heads together as a community, we really can help one another. And so universal kindergarten, I think, is ideally great for the entire economy, for communities, for families. There's research that supports that. So I'm absolutely for it, but in terms of what Westerville is able to do, I think right now the focus really is stretching our dollars to maintain what we offer right now.
Thank you all very much. Our next question is, what do you feel are the values of the community, and how do you think the school board can support those values? We'll start with you, Mark.
Wow. Well, living in the community for 25 years, I mean, people just want to live their lives and raise their families, work. I mean, it's just kind of basic. I don't get into all these long things and various stuff. I mean, it's why I came to Westerville, for a career in a nice community with a well-supported community. We've got a great police force. I've had a great career here. I mean, it's just, I really don't have much to say except good things, because, I mean, here I am. I mean, that's all I have to say, really. Pretty simple, sorry.
Very good. Tatjana?
I think that I'm sure many people have made Westerville their home. I didn't grow up here. I'm from the Cleveland area, so I think many people come here, and the community is what keeps them here. It's what attracts them to staying here. And a lot of times the basis of that is a great school community. Excellent public schools are what drives people to your community. It's what builds your businesses, what keeps people shopping here and living here. So I think that is, ensuring that we have excellent public schools is a top priority for our community. I think upholding the richness of the community, the diversity of the community. We have a very vast and beautifully diverse community. I walked over, my son was playing soccer, I walked over at the rec center the other day, and it's just amazing. You just see so many different people, so many different cultures represented, and I think that is something that makes me proud to live here, and what I want my kids to see every day. And so I think that is definitely something that we need to uphold in our community. And then also just the opportunity. Our kids have so many great opportunities, so many cool programs, so many cool extracurriculars. And so upholding that and making sure that people know that Westerville is a great place to live. I think it's a fantastic place to raise a family. So that is something that we need to protect here.
Thank you. Nafiso?
I feel that Westerville promotes like quality education. When I first came to United States, I was 10, and I started 6th grade, and I was very welcome. My principal, old principal, she's probably watching me now. We still meet once a year. My other teachers that moved, we still connect. That tells you that the teachers are just like parent, and giving that love and respect and welcome. And so I will say that the board can ensure that this continue Westerville to be great. There's a lot of houses built in, and the reason is because everybody knows Westerville is the best. We got the diversity, we got the new businesses, we got people that eat together on July 4th, walk together. We're like a family. So the board, what they can do is to make sure that there is safety in schools, support diversity, support all families, and meet all families where they're at, whether you're a resident that the kids doesn't go to school, or a parent that is not able to come because you have a special needs. So keeping that communication open and transparent, I think, and safety will be something that the board can support with Westerville to keep going.
Thank you. Anisa?
Absolutely. When I think about this question, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the makeup of our community. I think it's hard to pinpoint one value or a few values, because we actually have children and families coming from multiple cities, townships, counties. That is the scale of our school district. So we may have different values, but I think what keeps us all aligned is our genuine love for this community. It is the quality of our community. It is, which also includes our schools. I think it is the tolerance. It is the inclusion. It is our strong workforce. And when I say workforce, of course, I'm thinking about our educators. There are a lot of things, values that really are appealing to people, to families, to leaders. And so I think that there are various things that I could list, but I think when I think about values and when I think about my why and why I'm running, it is to advocate for all. It is to advocate for everybody, to really uplift these values that I'm listing off right now. I'm just really proud to live in this community. I'm proud to have chosen this community to raise my child. And I'm so thankful for the community that provided such quality education to my family. And so I think that those are the values that are really appealing to many neighbors.
Thank you. Kristy?
So a healthy, thriving community is built on a good public education system. And what goes into that is things like, I grew up here. My siblings, obviously, we all lived here. We are raising our children here too. I think of things like safe spaces, right? We really want to make sure that we're safe, our children are safe. And so ensuring that when everyone walks through our doors, or they go through our doors, I shouldn't say they're walking, not everybody walks, but that they feel safe and valued and seen. And I think of opportunities to connect with each other, because this community has a lot of heart, and I love that about this community. And so, providing opportunities at football games, but other opportunities to, come out and participate in some school function. And those are things that are happening and that will continue to happen, and they're really fantastic. I think about the opportunities that children are receiving at school. I didn't have IB, all of those various credit, college credit plus, all of those really wonderful opportunities, and we have those here. But I also think about one of the things that I loved the most when I walked into Wilder, when my kids were going there, it was like the United Nations, and celebrating the diversity of this community, but coming together around it is really, I think, what makes Westerville very unique, that we have a lot of heart.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the time and looking at the number of questions still in my hand, and I'm going to call an audible and give you a minute instead of a minute and a half. So timekeepers, can we deal with that? Or, all right. I know, it's very complicated.
Wait, I'm curious, are we doing every question that's...
We're going to not make it to all of them, and I'm going through in the order that we got them, and so we'll stop when we stop, but maybe we can get one or two more if we just go a little quicker.
Okay.
All right, so, Tatjana, we're starting with you again. Will you allow public comments at board meetings to go back to 5 minutes? If not, why not?
It's not something I've put too much thought into, but I have to assume that you said put back to, so I'd have to assume that at one point it was longer, and I'd have to assume that the decision to make them 3 minutes was out of the need for efficiency, to keep things rolling smoothly. So I would say that, obviously it's not a unanimous decision, you'd have to have everyone sign off on the board. I would say in the name of efficiency and keeping things moving along during board meeting, no.
Thank you. Nafiso?
I will say no, because we want to give everybody a chance to talk and everybody to voice their concern. So if we do 5 minutes, no one is going to go home. So we want to make sure that when parents come, there is a start and end time. So that way, if I'm coming, I'm sure that, my voice will be heard. So no, I think not going back to that.
Thank you. Anisa?
Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure I heard your question correctly.
Yes.
You're not referring to public speaking. You're referring to comments being turned off?
Public comments at board meetings.
Oh, at board meetings.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. I'll say that right now, efficiency is really, really important, and the 3-minute rule is not something unique to just school boards. It is something that I believe councils also are doing throughout the region. I want to hear all voices. I want to hear everybody. And if you've had the opportunity to attend a school board meeting, you know that sometimes they can be very long. And so to ensure that we are getting through the room and hearing all these important voices, it's really important that we can challenge our families and our adults to be really mindful of their time provided. We ask our kids to be really efficient and to be very think critically. And so I believe that we can do the same as adults. No shade. I just think that we can do that as well, especially because we ask our youth to do the same thing.
Thank you, Kristy.
I'm going to sound very redundant, but no, you know, the 3 minutes is for efficiency. We are actually only given a minute here, or a minute and a half, and we can say quite a bit in that minute and a half. But that doesn't cut off the conversation. We're always around afterwards, willing to have a conversation about what was just said. You know, many times we're referring people to other staff to help them, so it doesn't cut off that conversation. I also want to point out that we did make that longer, 6 minutes, for those that need an interpreter, because we realized that it wasn't particularly fair to cut them off at 3 minutes. But this is for efficiency's sake. It doesn't cut us off from an opportunity to have further conversations.
Thank you, Mark.
I would almost do a compromise and have a think, because I know the only time we have a lot of people at the school board meetings is when there's something controversial, whether a levy or something like that, and have a rule. All right, if there's 10 or less, it's going to be 5 minutes. If it's 15 or less, it's going to be such and such minute. And have it on the paper that's on there. Boom, boom, boom. All right, you will speak. All right, once we get to so many minutes, that's what it is, and announce it. Announce it many times. And we could do a compromise on it, because most school board meetings are going to be uneventful, and a few people talk. Give them their 5 minutes. But if there's going to be a crowd, obviously it needs to be cut down for efficiency. So I think a compromise can be made that's reasonable and over-communicated. That's just my opinion.
Thank you all. Notice everyone talks faster that time, too. That was really tough. All right. Nafiso, you'll start with this one. Currently, Westerville's 8th graders are testing at only 47.7% of proficient in math. Compared to other districts our size, we are considerably lower in proficiency tests. Dublin's 8th graders are 75% proficient in math, Worthington 74%, Pickerington 54.3%, and Hilliard 49%. What will you do if elected to focus on the education of our students when it seems like these issues aren't being addressed?
This goes back to early literacy as well. We talk about a lot reading, but then we also forget math and other subjects. So I think that if we have, less students, more staff, and the teachers are able to know and work with this student through the day, and do like a early kind of like find out like where they're at. We can create evidence-based interventions, do like maybe 101 with other teachers, that way we can have these kids not only pass to grade level, but make sure that they really have the education to go a different grade. So,
Thank you very much. Anisa?
Thank you so much for this question. I'll say, I know you provided examples of other districts. It really is hard to kind of to compare, but I think what I'll say on the math piece is, if my understanding is correct, and I know I'll be corrected afterwards, I do believe that we are doing great. We're doing really good. I think that some of the numbers are skewed just because we're looking at different grade levels. We're looking at different grade levels, but there are resources available to really help these kids meet their goals. But to answer your question of what would I do to help, it is really putting my head together with district leaders to ensure, the kids being provided the resources. What else can we do to make sure that they're meeting those benchmarks? And so just being creative and being as hands-on as I possibly am able to be, I think that's what I would do.
Thank you very much. Kristy?
So I think we need to remind ourselves, this is a snapshot, and we also need to remind ourselves that we're not comparable to some of those districts that you had just mentioned. We're comparable to Pickerington, Local, Gahanna, Jefferson, Hilliard, and Worthington. And then when you take a look at 8th grade math scores, for us, a third of our students are actually taking algebra. And so this is true across the state, right? 8th grade math is actually not really reflective of the true score. So when you look at algebra, you see it rebound. And so I think there's always room for improvement, absolutely. And we're continuing to look at that data and push in support systems where we can. But this is, again, a snapshot and not telling the whole story. We are actually on par with those comparable districts.
Thank you. Mark?
If you want to increase test scores, regardless of subject, especially math, classroom environment and student discipline, because I've substitute taught in other classes for other teachers to cover for them, and the behavior of students and what's allowed to be the behavior that's allowed is maddening. I've put my arm around one teacher and says, "Wow, you deal with this every day?" He says, "Yes, that's why I can't get anything done, because the constant disruption of students, and we need to have our principals, administration, support us on those kids and get them out of the class, get things straightened up, call the parents up, but we got student discipline so kids behave." And that little kid in the back corner who's constantly chirping away all the time, but we can't do anything about it because they're on something. So those are the things that we deal with as teachers, is student behavior in that classroom environment. So I'm all for supporting our teachers and stuff like that. But we need to actually be...
Thank you, Mark. Sorry.
Yep.
Tatjana?
So kind of reiterating what a few people had already said, but obviously this does not take into account the 8th graders who are taking algebra, so it is slightly skewed metric. But I think this is where we really have to talk about getting our ballot measure passed and making sure that we are protecting certain things in our classrooms, like class sizes, and making sure our kids have the resources they need. And this would be a great spot to really take a look at where we can do intervention, where we can catch kids that are struggling, but ensuring that we have those small class sizes and that is an ability that our teachers can have to address those issues is so important.
Thank you. I know that was a hard one for a minute, but you all are doing great. We'll get another one or two in. Yeah, I know. That was a hard one. We're going to start with Anisa on this one. How would you partner with parents to support their children's ability to flourish in school?
Thank you so much for this question. I'll say this past Saturday, I actually had what I'm calling Around the Table with Anisa Liban, a listening series. But this topic and this meeting was really centered around hearing from the parents. It's really important to me as a school board member that I understand what it is that parents need assistance with, so I can take that feedback back to my colleagues. That is something that is actually one of my top priorities right now that I'm running on, is really making sure that those parents are connected to wraparound services, that their kids are connected to those same services. There are a lot of different ideas that I have as a school board member on how we could improve that. I think the district already has a parents workshop series. I believe our last event was March of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. But the point is, we are aware of this issue, and I'm here to really just enhance what we're already doing. I think we're a huge district, and I just want to make sure that we can reach all of these families. And that means being in the community and meeting them where they're at, and I'm willing to do that.
Thank you. Kristy?
I think it's really important to listen to parents and understand what they're experiencing, both the good and some of the struggles, and working with the district's leadership to understand if it's something that we can address, or is there some piece of the puzzle that I'm missing, or maybe that the parent's missing, and can we connect them? I have been holding coffees as well, and really what I have found is that we need to go out and meet people where they're at, right? Because everyone is so busy. I also know from my professional experience that we can say that we're going to hold some sort of town hall or something, and nobody might show up. And so really, I think what I would like to know is, how do parents want to interact with the district, and what kind of information do they want, and then how do they want to provide feedback? Because I don't want to make assumptions, but I think it's absolutely critical that we are working with parents in partnership, because this is the only way that public education works. It takes a village.
Thank you. Mark?
What's really sad, there's two things that's sad, is that there are some students that us teachers spend more time than their parents. Okay? And also, another thing that's sad is at the high school, it's like crickets. There's very few parents. In fact, I've held concerts at the high school, and because administration-wise, it was like going, get parents in here in the school. So the parents were always welcome to the school. They're welcome to my class. They come to my concerts. They bring their relatives. But parents just, we want them to come into the parent-teacher conferences, and we just need them to come in, and it's not a majority that comes in, including for middle school. It's not a majority that comes in. We want parents to come in. We're dying, us teachers, we want the parents to come in to see what's going on. Parents, where are you? And this is a teacher speaking. Where are you, parents?
Thank you. Tatjana?
Sorry.
I think when I started this process, my husband said something to me that I keep thinking about over and over again, and it rings true as a parents ourselves, but there's nothing that people are more passionate about than their own kids and their experience. So having that open door policy, making sure that we are there to hear the things that parents are feeling passionate about is so important. But I do think that because all of us lead very different lives, people work different schedules, people work overnight, people have multiple children, so it's difficult. So the communication has to be a multi-channel approach. So we really have to look at, are we reaching parents via email, via text, via coming to meetings? Are we holding additional town halls or meetings? But we have to figure out the best communication tool to reach all parents with all the different barriers that they have.
Thank you. Nafisa?
I will maintain an open communication, a transparency. I'll listen to their concerns, get good feedback, like listen to that as well. I will provide opportunities for input on problems and policies. I feel like that we're not talking to, I'm not a board member, but I don't know most of the policies that being passed. I didn't know about it. I heard, like, I see it on Facebook or on the district, maybe like having an input, like, because we know our families, our community are our holders. So getting them involved, asking if we can give a feedback, and also helping, families support students grow at home and in the school. That way, if they see that we're supporting them, they will know and they will feel comfortable to come and, ask us questions. So that's all.
Thank you all very much. We have time for probably 2 more questions before the closing statements begin. And this one will be another challenge to fit into a minute, but we're going to go ahead and try anyway. Westerville schools are beautifully diverse. With growing fears of ICE activity in our region moving closer to our community, how will you ensure our schools remain safe, welcoming spaces for our kids? How will you support teachers and administrators in navigating situations where federal law enforcement presence could create fear and or cause trauma for our students? And Kristy, you will start us out.
Wow, this one's a hard one. Because I do worry about this. This is something that when we started to learn about this, I participated in some webinars to understand what was in our legal limits, what we could do. But at our school, we have put in place a policy that if ICE is to come in, that they are to call an administrator, and the administrator will come over and deal with it to protect our staff, to protect our students. I mean, obviously, if they have a search warrant, we have to allow for that, and that's not something that we want to do. But again, we've put in policies as much as possible to protect our students, because that's something that's so important to, I think, really to me, to make sure that our students feel safe, to be able to go to school and not worry about if they're going to be picked up, or go home and worry about their parents as well.
Thank you. Mark?
Whether we like it or not, we have to follow the law, full stop. We're a public school. We teach everybody. We have somebody homeless coming in, we teach them. So whoever comes in, because that's just, because there are even laws that where if a student comes in, parents of a student comes in, they're homeless or anything like that, I mean, who knows where they're from, we get them in. So we'll follow the law. I mean, that's just what it is. Like I said, whether we agree or disagree with the laws, we'll have to follow them full stop, and that's it. So.
Thank you. Tatjana?
This scenario absolutely horrifies me, but if that were to be a scenario that we would have to face, then I think we would have to abide by whatever the policy that is currently in place, whether that is contacting an administrator first. But I feel that we would have to do everything that we can to protect the experience that the child is facing, and not incite any additional fear or any additional trauma. That's just simply unacceptable to inflict that on children. So.
Thank you. Nafisa?
Yeah.
I've been talking about communication. Really having an open communication with parents and families is important. Because if you're like at the beginning, you know, keep that open, there will be less issues because, you know, you are explaining the policies and all that stuff. So if there's a pushback, you can like reference it, like, this is what we talked about last time. Providing teacher support, you know, providing clear policies for safety. I'm hoping that every school has a safety instruction and, you know, in place. I know the hospitals, we do have like what to do next. So I will probably like do a lot of education, make sure the staff, the student knows, and the parents also as well. I think they forgot me just fine. But yeah, so like I will probably like do all that to make sure that we are keeping the kids safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anisa?
Thank you so much for this question. You know, I'll say that, like my colleague shared, when this entire conversation with immigration was at its height, I am proud to say that I participated in conversations, not just at the district level, but also, you know, off-site. I had really heart-to-heart conversations with leaders at Honesty for Ohio Education and other statewide leaders who are wrapping their arms around children, daily. There's not a day that goes by that I am not thinking about how this honestly impacts our children. As a leader in the immigrant community, this is a situation that I am discussing with folks day in and day out, but I'll just quickly say that wraparound services, make sure that parents know how to respond, teachers know how to respond, students know that there is help for them. These are things that I believe as a board member I could really help influence policies while maintaining state law and district policies, just make sure that parents know what we're trying to do, because if they know that we care, I think we can do a lot of good work together.
Thank you. And Kristy?
Oh, I thought I answered that.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
She was first.
I went the whole time doing just fine, and I messed up at the end.
I mean, I can elaborate.
You're right. No,
if you
no,
wanna
no, no,
take
no.
That's not
another
first.
minute.
So that means, Mark, you get the final questions
Oh,
before
boy.
closing statements to start at least. From your perspective, what is the role of parents in public education? Where do you see the boundaries of responsibility between the school and the home?
I mean, wow. See, the parents and teacher are the two people that the kid sees, that the student sees the most. And I mean, the parent needs to be reading to their kid all that time. I mean, there's accountability on both sides of the aisle. Parents need to make sure and check Power School, are all the assignments done? And if the parent doesn't know anything about math, find somebody to help. It is integral. You can't have one without the other. Now, there are kids who don't have them. I've had a student for the past 2 years, both of her parents died. She's living with her grandparents, and that's very different. So I've seen that. I've experienced kids with stuff like that, and my heart goes out to them. But the parents and the grandparents and whoever their family is, or whoever it is that's being their guardian.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right.
Tatjana?
I think that the responsibility is it's a collaboration between parents and our schools. And I think our job in our school system is going to be to really figure out what are the barriers that parents are facing and see what we can do to help them. A quick background on me: my parents immigrated here in the 70s. They came here as English language learners. They had cultural and language barriers when they were finishing their education, and my grandparents as their parents trying to help them through that. And so that also provides some difficulty. So we need to figure out how we can best engage those parents and what we can do to help them so that they can be collaborative with our schools.
Thank you. Nafiso?
So I think that providing, and this is like in the early stages of like either creating policies or creating a levy to kind of add services. As an immigrant, my mom did not speak English, so no one could help me with homework. So I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but I used to go to Vineyard Church, which they had a services for kids. So maybe providing like resources to parents if they do not understand. There's a single parent, like grandparents. those kind of like parents, most of the time are forgotten. So getting that resources and added to our policies, to the levies, that would be great. So yeah, I will be here.
Thank you. Anisa?
Could you repeat the question for me again?
Yes. From your perspective, what is the role of parents in public education, and what are the boundaries of responsibility between the school and the home?
Thank you so much. I think that parents play an integral role in their child's lives, and honestly, I think that as a district, as long as we are meeting those parents where they are at, I think that demonstrates that we're a strong district. I think that as someone who is currently in a campaign that is connecting with parents, who's really trying to prioritize resources for parents, something that keeps coming up time and time again is just availability. People really want these in-person meetings. They want liaisons, parent liaisons. They want more communication on the websites that provide opportunities to engage with educators and with leaders. And I think as a district, we are doing that in a myriad of ways, but it's just connecting those parents to those resources and to that information. I think increasing translation, all of that is absolutely important, but I think parents should really be prioritized. And I think that I'm open to being more creative on how we can reach those hard-to-reach parents and parents, period, in the district.
Thank you very much. And Kristy?
So they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? And I think of myself and my kids' teachers as that village. What can I be doing to support teachers? And I know we've had some hard conversations to support my child in learning and support that teacher, and vice versa. What are the resources that a parent may need to be able to support their child at home? And I don't claim to know all those things that are needed, but definitely open to listening to what is needed, seeing if it's something that we can make adjustments, and go from there. But I do think I look at it as it takes a village, and the teachers and parents are part of that village.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for indulging me in the 1-minute speed round there. You now each get to luxuriate in 2 whole minutes for a closing statement, and we will start again with you, Tatjana.
Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I appreciate you coming to learn a little bit more about where we all stand, and I hope that my answers gave you a little bit more insight as to the type of candidate I am and the type of person that I am. I want to do this because I very, very much care about the opportunities and education of kids, and those are not just my kids, all kids. And I think in Westerville we are so lucky to live in such a connected and beautiful community, and I think it is so important to uphold that. So that is definitely a major motivator for me. As a business owner, I want to kind of share what I feel like that can bring to the table. I've been in business a long time. We have made it through a pandemic. We have made it through a recession. I think it takes some creativity and quick pivots and ways to look at things creatively and not get stuck in this is how it always has been, and so this is how we're going to keep going, because that is just sometimes not an option. I'm not someone who likes to give up, so that is something that I hope to bring to the table in this position if that works out that way. My priorities in this campaign are focused on bringing resources to kids and ensuring that they have everything they need to be successful, supporting our teachers and staff, and supporting mental health services. That is absolutely vital to me. If those things resonate with you, I hope that you will vote for me in November. I appreciate your time.
Very good. Thank you. Nafiso?
I've been saying that I'm a social worker. I've been working with kids since in undergrad. I work at Children's Hospital before, and I have so much love for kids. I am a former student at Westerville City Schools. If my principal is watching, hi. She will Facebook me. I moved and came back after I got my master's, make sure that my kids go in Westerville schools because I know Westerville schools is the best. So I live here for the last 10 years. I walk with the community. We have a July 4th celebration. Westerville is home to me because when I first came to the United States, this is where I was brought, like my grandma's house, and I started school in Westerville. I've been doing like serving in the school, my kids' school board as a board member, and I have a daughter who I gave a birth at 27 weeks. So we've been through everything: PT, OT, speech, and you know, all that behavior with IEP. So I had to advocate for her. I have to, like, you know, make sure that she's not diagnosed by a school psychologist. I make sure that she went to a different school that can give her the resources she wants, because our homeschool could not do that. So for me to do all that, I decided to run and make sure that parents like me, that their voices are not being heard, is heard. So please vote for me for November. I'm not only a social worker, but I'm a parent, and I'm a resident and a former student. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anisa, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank you all so much for being here tonight. I think earlier on you shared you're happy that we're giving up our time, but thank you all for putting in the time to listen to us. Honestly, I'm here, and my journey to the school board definitely wasn't super traditional. I was appointed last fall. I submitted my application because I really, really, really wanted to make a positive impact in this community and really give back and make a positive impact in the public education system. I'm a proud product of public education. Like many others, I really benefited from free and reduced lunch, public transportation, ESL, I mean, you name it, right? I had a mom who worked really hard to put myself and my siblings through schools. I actually experienced homelessness in the 10th grade, and that is something that I talk about with different folks. So I really understand what a lot of our kids are going through in the buildings, which is why I say I bring a very unique lived experience. Professionally, I've seen really great policy passed. I've also seen really bad policy. I've advocated against bad policy just recently at the State House with all of the attacks on public education. And I just want to be an advocate for this community that deserves strong advocates. That's my why. I'm also a mom to a very young child, as I mentioned earlier. I'm always thinking about the future of this district, about his future. I really want to make sure that all kids in this district are given the equal opportunity to thrive. We have such a wonderful, wonderful district. I don't think I've met a single person that is giving their role 50%. People that I'm coming across honestly are giving their 100%, and they're pouring their all into our kids because they care. And I really want to make sure that they too are equipped with the resources that they need to thrive. And so I will say that there are various reasons why I'm running to keep my seat on the board. Again, I've only been here for a year, and there's just so much more work that I really want to do, and I really hope that you all grant me the opportunity to continue to do that. Also, as the only visibly Black Muslim woman on the board, just being able to resonate with other families, and for our Latino and our Asian and all of our kids in our district to see themselves in me, I'm so proud of that, and I really want to demonstrate what our district looks like.
Thank you. Kristy?
On November 4th, I'm asking you to re-elect me. I am a proud product of the Westerville City School District. My siblings are. I'm raising my children here, my nieces and nephews. We will all have gone through K through 12. This district is my home in every sense of the word. And I'm so honored to have been able to give back to my community that's given so much to me and my family. I'm proud of the work that I've done in the past 4 years with this community, guidance counselors at every school building, investing in opportunities for our students in student-centered programming, opening a new middle school to reduce crowding in the southern end of our district, and creating homegrown career pathways and so much more. But there's more work to be done, and I am so committed to that. Public education is under attack, and now more than ever, we need strong, experienced, student-focused leaders, and I am committed to that work. The path forward for me is clear. Continue to invest in student-centered programming, to teach our kids life skills, not just academic success, but skills for life. Invest in our staff and our teachers so they can meet the complex needs of our students today. Create safe and welcoming environments so that our students and our staff show up and feel valued and safe and are prepared to learn and to teach. And to really, as a taxpayer myself, be very responsible with our taxpayer dollars and be equitable with how we spend them, keeping the students' needs always centered. I am really proud of the work that I've done in the past 4 years, and I'm really excited about the future that we can create together. So I'm asking you to vote for me, vote to re-elect me on November 4th. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming out tonight. I know you're taking away from other things. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this and the opportunity, and Dr. Comerford for being our gracious facilitator.
Thank you. Mark?
Yes, and thank you very much, and thank you very much for the opportunity. we chose Westerville to move here. Like I said before, I interviewed here 3 times to get into the school district because it was the place to be. And I've been very blessed to have a very, very good and productive and very successful career here. I mean, everybody knows me. My job and my career and my choice of my living is students. I chose to work with students, all of your students. And I love all my students. And we've had a lot of successes, and when we had failures, we looked back and we corrected them and turned those failures into successes, which is basically life. But I am looking out for the teacher and the students. That is my priority because that has been my career. Now, I know there's some things about like all of our levies and taxes and stuff like that. They're always going to be around, unfortunately. I grew up on a farm. I'm a farm boy. And you talk about taxes and all those things because I know we haven't discussed that much. I'm very sensitive to that. I understand it. I understand all the taxes and regulations in agriculture. Oh my word, everything now. In education, everything is top down. And it's no exception. That's what we have now. And it would be great that we could actually help. But that's up to all of us and with the legislature. But I'm here for all of your students, and all the decisions are made on my life experience, both being a farm boy and a music teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. And the crowd has done so good holding your applause. Let's thank the candidates now. And I'm pleased to welcome back the president of your chamber, Janet Tressler Davis, to bring us home.
Thank you, John. Can we have a round of applause for John? Thank you so much. Excellent job. And you can say you brought him home to your lovely wife, but we are going to give you the flowers tonight that are here, so we'll give you those from the centerpiece. Well, we could give him a cookie, too. Yeah, right. No, it's sitting right there. Yeah. So on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Advocacy Council, and the sponsors tonight, we greatly appreciate all of you being here tonight and sharing all of your thoughts about how you're going to take care of our school district. All of you and those of you that are on Facebook Live, thank you for your time. Remember, you can tell your friends it will be available tonight on Facebook as well. On Friday, they can see it on YouTube. As you're leaving, you might want to stop over here to the table with Precise Resource and Status Solutions. There's a few little giveaway items there. And on your way out, the chairs and the tables out there have information from all of our candidates. So if there's anything you want to take with you, help yourself to increase the knowledge that you have, we'd love for you to take that. And we do have to leave. Once the library, we have to leave in about 5 minutes because we have to get out of the library, so we're going to be packing up. But as this concludes, a reminder, the absentee ballots can be found on the Board of Elections site for your county. Election Day, being able to start to vote, is just a little over a month away. So October 6th is the deadline to register to vote, and October 7th starts early voting and absentee voting. So please exercise your right to vote. Every vote counts. Drive safely to your next destination, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. I never can.